So 17 items didn't make my meeting long enough. We have to add the technical difficulties in there too. Okay.
I'm going to count this time also because I
No,
have
no.
20 items.
No,
and
this
I
is-
would like to be faster.
This does not.
Have trouble getting live on YouTube. They changed the keys on your graduation. Probably they changed the keys. Like not to go live on YouTube.
But recorded on YouTube tomorrow.
Well, you have a few more minutes till solicitor comes back. Keep going. Yep.
Thank you.
You're delayed.
Okay, let's begin back at the top with 3.01. We have several contracts in a row. If we could start with those, please.
Good evening. My name is Kate Barbaro. I'm one of the supervisors of special education here at the district. I am going to be presenting these agenda items on Dr. Nytem's behalf because he couldn't be here tonight. I'm also doing my superintendent's internship, so it's a really wonderful experience. So thank you all. Item 3.01 is the Barber Center ESY agreement. This is for 13 of our students who are going to the program for 23 days at $210 per kid per day. Item 3.02 is the Barber Center one-on-one service agreement. This is for an individual student that needs a one-on-one support staff at the ESY, and that'll be again for 23 days, but at $145 per day. Item 3.03, that is also for a different student for a one-on-one service agreement. An individual also needs a one-on-one support staff. Item 3.04 is the Deerfield Psychiatric Consultation Agreement, and we will be scheduling clinical consultation to support our emotional support and autistic support classrooms. It will be with Dr. Marian Abaugh for 4 hours per month for 10 months, a total of 60 hours at $200 an hour, not to exceed $12,000. Item 3.05 is the IU5 Special Education Programs and Services for the 2023-2024 school year contract. This is for our hearing impaired teacher, our visually impaired teacher through the IU, a sign language interpreter that one of our students requires full-time, and also a parent consultant. Item 3.06 is our IU5 Special Education Programs and Services for the 2023-2024 school year contract for the Edmund L. Thomas Detention Center. This is for incarcerated youth that we pay for. It's what we pay for the teacher and the aide in that classroom. Item 3.07, the MK Certified Interpreting LLC contract. This is for an interpreter that a parent had requested for the graduation ceremony. And then we have item 3.09 is the MTSD 2023-2024 Comprehensive Guidance Plan, also called Plan 339. We have some of our guidance professionals here tonight that are going to talk a little bit about the plan and what the counselors are doing to support college and career development. We have Mr. Vince Sanita, who is the coordinator from our middle school guidance representative. We have Scott Boyd from the high school, and then Michelle Nagel from the elementary building.
All right, so thank you for introducing us. It's great to be here. This plan specifically outlines most duties that we do in the district. Just some history on the plan. It used to be about 15 pages in 2018 when they went from the school performance profile to the Future Ready PA Index. increase the plan to 65, 70 pages because of the career requirements for students. So most of the plan refers to those career requirements. And basically what they said is every student grades 3 through 11th grade, I'd have 2 career evidence pieces offered to them. Basically, those are career activities that show engagement. So the only thing they really required is that in grades 8, they had to have a written goal plan, and grades 11, a written goal plan. They can come and audit those pieces at any time during the PSSAs and the keystones, see that you're on track. So there's been a fairly large investment with Naviance, which is the tracking program that we use for grades 6 through 12. And the evidence pieces are all tracked there. The students complete those evidence pieces in that program. In the elementary,
Hi, in the elementary, what we do is we have created a career portfolio that travels with them kindergarten through 5th grade. We house that in our office and we go into the classroom and we do career lessons. Sometimes I know at Chestnut Hill, I've done a career day where I've had 35 members of the community come in, and grades 3 through 5 get to go and select their top 3 choices, and they get to go in and experience that career. Kindergarten, 1st and 2nd, I had parents come in. It was first come, first serve. They got to come in and speak about their career for about 10 minutes and share with their student about their daily career. And the kids and the parents really enjoyed that. Again, like Vince said, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade, we have to have 2 pieces of evidence, and that varies on what it can be. Every piece of evidence does not have to be the same for the student, which is very nice because when we have incoming students, we can catch them up quickly if we do a really quick activity with them and explain and just expose them to different types of career and get those wheels turning of what they would like to do in the future. I always remind them that I'm not going to come knocking on their door in 25 years and say, you told me you wanted to be a lawyer and now you're a veterinarian. You weren't honest. And they get a chuckle out of it because they're like, is this what I'm doing for life? And it's not. It's really just to get them, going, their wheels turning and see what interests they have, because it's very important to have an interest. The career you want interests you, fits you, because you're doing it for a very long time.
and so if you have that document in front of you, page 47 outlines the elementary plan specifically. It has 4 different strands that you have to address through that benchmark time period. Essentially in 5th grade, you have to report through PIMS. That's your benchmark year of which students completed the career evidence and which did not. 8th grade, you do the same, and then 11th grade, you do the same. So pages 47, 48, and 49 outline exactly what those evidence pieces look like, where they're offered, and which strands they cover. The hardest thing in middle school was the entrepreneurship strand. If you look at a lot of things they recommended and suggested to do for that, it was all budget-based relating to owning a business. So students actually complete a budget. They have to run some basic math numbers to complete that budget based on the average salary in the United States and kind of see how far that money will get them once they graduate high school. The other thing they do at the high school level is they use it to send transcripts, and Scott Boyd can talk about that.
Hi, yeah, we use Naviance it's our one-stop shop for everything that we do, college and career. We have students, when they've applied to colleges, they add their college and they request their transcripts. We send an initial transcript, the school profile, letters of recommendation. We also send mid-year transcripts if the college requires that. And then at the end of the year, when the transcripts are finalized with final grades, we'll be sending the final transcript. There's so many tools in Naviance. That's where the students, complete their career tasks and responsibilities to help them with career maturity, career development, help them understand and see the relationship between the courses that they're taking and the careers that they're preparing themselves for. We also have career exploration tools in Naviance. We have the super match, which is a huge time saver for our students to put in criteria and filter criteria for schools that they're looking at. I want a college or a technical school in an urban area. I would like it to be co-ed. I would like the I guess the degree of difficulty of acceptance to be 50%. And then I want sports. I would like a music program. I'd like it to have, intramurals programs, things like that. And it will give them right then and there instant results. So the career tools and the college and personal development tools that Naviance offers our students is well worth the investment. So thank you.
So in 2018, you saw kind of that explosion of requirements. The biggest challenge was figuring out what program was best for tracking that information and then being able to disseminate it out to the state as necessary. So that's kind of what this outlines in general. Those 3 pages are the most important, but it has a comprehensive list of everything included in the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that was 3.08. I apologize. And then 3.09 is the Tracy Moore Sign Language Interpreter Contract. That is for an interpreter that was needed for the theater production of the Prom musical last month, and it was $50 an hour, not to exceed 9 hours.
Okay, so I'd like to move forward to the meeting at the end of the month. I'd like to make a motion for items 3.01 through 3.09 as they were just described. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion about any of those items? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to item 3.11. Thank you, Dr. Kaplan.
Item 3.11, Gannon University Dual Credit Affiliation Agreement. A couple months ago, we brought forth the one for Penn State Barron that we approved. And now, as you'll see in tonight's meeting, the other 3 local universities are all coming on board. We were working with Edinburgh for the 3.13 Penn West. We were working with them, between us and them individually, and then the Gannon and Mercyhurst ones came on board with the IU and all the schools in the IU. So 3.11 is Gannon, 3.12 is Mercyhurst, and 3.13 is Penn West dual enrollment agreements. And it kept the amount of what it's always been is for those 3 universities at $100 per credit, which is a pretty good rate. 3.14 is the Northwest Tri-County Unit Intermediate Unit Lending Library Agreement. And this is at no cost to the district. It allows us to borrow various items from the IU if needed. And the only time there's any cost to us is if we borrow something and we break it. So that's not really a concern. 3.15 is a 23-24 field trip calendar. Now that the budget's been approved, the field trip calendar has been added in. So you can see all the various places. So we're very similar year after year of where we tend to go. 3.16 is the fall athletic schedules. Now, I will say there are a few missing. With cross country, the region meets we know, but we don't know any of the invitational yet. Coach Palmer is still working on setting the invitations he wants to attend, so we'll bring that forward at a later date. Boys and girls golf has not been released yet, and boys and girls water polo have not been released yet. So those schedules will come forward. All the other fall sports were included in the attachments and will be posted to the athletic website.
Okay, very good. I'd like to move forward, make a motion to move forward 3.11 through 3.16. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion about any of those items? All those in favor say aye. Okay, thank you, Dr. Kavanaugh. And finally, 3.17, saving the best for last, K-8 math curriculum.
Always the best for last, right? Well, good evening. I'm proud to stand in front of you tonight to bring forth the K-8 math curriculum that we've been working on all this school year. If it's okay with you, I don't have a formal presentation because I know that you have the documents there, but I would like to run through our process just as a refresher and then share my thanks to a few folks who have really stood out to help us through this. As you remember, last June, we got teams of teachers together and they helped us to develop these draft curriculum, which we then ran and executed this year and through various embedded PD sessions, department meetings, one-on-one coaching, individual phone calls and emails, and feedback in those manners. We went ahead and made adjustments as we saw fit based on what the teachers were experiencing throughout that time frame. I could not have brought these to you without the assistance of, so I want to say a special thank you to our grade level and department chairs. And those folks include Kathy Gebhardt, Mindy Harmley, Hillary Gerline, Ashley Miller, Mike Bowers, Natalie Geely, and Brandon Fox. Without them and their teams actively engaged in these documents, reaching out with suggestions or questions or thoughts, we would not be where we're at today. We were able to, based on their open, honest, and candid feedback, make those necessary adjustments that you see here tonight. Those documents, once they're board approved, will be placed on our curriculum archive and directly shared with teachers. Pacing guides have been developed and shared with teachers already so that they can use those if they so choose this summer to prepare for next school year. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
My question probably nudges, hopefully somewhat of a celebration, Jen, and that is, you've highlighted our department chairs and just their investment in the curriculum. And you've just highlighted some of our rock star teachers, by the way, and leaders. If you had to think about sort of a numeric rating, right? Since we've implemented the curriculum, the impact we're seeing right now, improve investment. 10 being, we really are getting a lot of investment and we're seeing the impact. 1 being, this was a terrible idea. What numerical value would you give? In the spirit of math, what would be the numeric value right now?
I will tell you, when we first looked at implementing the curriculum with support of the new resources at the beginning of the year, we were facing many challenges. And I was a little nervous. September and October were filled with meetings and phone calls and one-on-one coaching with teachers to encourage them and, allow them that teacher autonomy that is so important in the classroom because our teachers know their students best. And so I think once we bridged that gap and built that relationship, by the time that we got to November and December, people were taking off. And the conversations that I was able to have with folks about, I never thought that we would be here this fast. Why didn't you tell me that it was going to be like that? I'm thinking of a particular second grade teacher who shared that with me. And we've had, ups and downs, but this is our year of grace, is what I like to say, because it's the first year that we're implementing this program. Nothing's going to be perfect, but I think having faith in each other and give each other some grace along the way, building that community culture has really been our success point. And I'm excited for next year. What we've seen from our MAP scores related to math and the growth there. I'm really looking forward to our PSSA scores. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. 3 to 5 years, I know, for permanent change to happen, but I really feel like we're heading in the right direction. And I can't do it without the individuals that I named and our teachers in the district. They've worked so hard.
Yeah, thank you. Even in my visits to classrooms and schools, the excitement, right, that we've seen throughout the months, as opposed to a little bit of hesitation that we saw early in the year, and excitement not only from teachers, but they are asserting that, look, this is really challenging our students. It's a really rigorous curriculum, but if you want to take our students' achievement to the next level, that is exactly what is needed. And certainly have to commend you. I've seen you taking your share of punches as we decided to pilot this program, but nowhere have I seen a curriculum director or supervisor implement a program with such not only fidelity, but commitment and your unwavering support. I mean, the amount of time you spent with job embedded PD in schools, don't know how you've done it. So I certainly want to commend you, and I'm excited about what is to come. Like you, I too am excited to wait to see those scores. Not jinxing ourselves, but you've done a phenomenal job. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Did you have any other questions that I can answer tonight?
And I'd like to make a motion to move 3.17, the K through 8 math curriculum forward. May I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That ends the action items. And in addition, I have 3 information items this evening. And so item 4.01, financial literacy.
Okay, so for financial literacy, I just want to give the board an update where we're at. Right now, Senate Bill 647 is out there, which will require all graduating seniors starting in 26-27 to have a half credit in financial literacy. The good thing is we're well on our way to getting to there already. And that is thank you very much to Carrie Barzeski, who was teaching our personal finance class. Carrie this year alone, when she took over the course, has been named the Distinguished Educator of Personal Finance by Next Gen Finance. She's represented the district in Harrisburg at a wrap-up press conference with the Auditor General. She's serving on Penn State Barron Center for Financial Literacy Board. She has been invited later in July to go down to look at revising the standards. When they first looked at the standards, they took the career standards, the economic standards, and family consumer science standards, and they were trying to put all the financial literacy standards into those courses, mainly in economics. They've then since determined that that's not the direction to go. They are now going to do standalone financial literacy standards, and that is the plan to work on that in mid-July. Carrie has taken our personal finance course and updated it, which is currently a semester-long course. She's going to continue to work on that, and I'll bring back the proposal next year, and I'll bring Carrie here in probably September, October to meet with you to discuss it, because we're going to make it a quarter-long class that every student will take. We will notify all of our incoming freshmen and all of our sophomores next year that during their junior or senior year at McDowell, that will be the expectation moving forward. I'll bring more to the board in the fall, but I wanted you to be aware that that's the direction we're heading.
Hey, thank you so much. Item 4.02 is the ELA pilot resource overview. Thank you, Hillary Gerline.
Good evening. I'm Hillary Gerline. I'm the new supervisor of curriculum for ELA and social studies. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of each other. I started the piloting process for ELA, and I know following in Jen's footsteps will be tough because she set the bar very high, but I just wanted to share with you where we're at. I tried to front load as much to the teachers as I could before they left. So I have some documents and things to share with you just so you can see where we're at with it and if you have any questions. So starting with the first one is just the purpose and the overarching goal. I don't know. Down arrow. Okay, got it. So the purpose of this, as we know, we needed a new ELA resource. Our one we have is good and our scores are decent, but it is definitely out of date. And there are new things being pushed like the science of reading and higher literacy that we need to make sure is in our resource. So the goal was or is to streamline what we have now and have a better process with what we're giving the teachers to meet the curriculum needs, but also have more consistency across the board, especially in our middle school, across all 3 schools for ELA. So my goal in that was to find the perfect product to do that. So to start, I started at edreports.org, and it is a database of hundreds of resources. So I had to dig through all those resources for each grade level. So I don't know, Patrick, can you click on one of those links? Anyone you want. So for each one, we don't have to go through them all. You can pull them up. But what I did is I created a spreadsheet. So at the top, you can see the resources. This one has Into Reading for HMH. It has the Savas one. It has Amplify. And what I went through is each gateway, there's 3 different gateways. One is on, the first gateway is on text quality and complexity. The second one's on building knowledge. And the third one's on usability. And what it does is it goes through. Green obviously means that it's meeting the goal. Yellow means that it's partially meeting. Red means it's not meeting at all. So in your spare time, when you feel like looking through this, I linked also any of the yellows and the reds, and it'll pull up directly to the website to tell why it was given not the whole score. It's a lot of reading and a lot of information. So I took that for every single grade level and I narrowed it down to 4 vendors. So for K to 5, I picked 4 vendors, and 6 to 8, I picked 4 vendors. So I did the same thing for 6 to 8. The documents are the same. The vendors were not the same, however. So I know that in math, it was important to have it, K to 8 consistent, but after talking to the teachers, K to 5 needed one thing, 6 to 8 needed something different. So my goal wasn't necessarily to have the exact same resource because I didn't think it was meeting the needs the way it needed to. You'll see once we picked them, they actually picked one of them that's the same. So that was nice, but it wasn't intentional. So after going through all of that, I got in touch with the 4 vendors. They sent me the samples, but I also aligned, Patrick, if you could just open one of those. I picked the ones that weren't aligned. I had a lot of teacher feedback and a lot of teachers that mentioned all different resources. So I wanted to make sure I looked at each of the resources. So I created this that showed the ones that were not aligned and tells why they were not aligned to what we were looking for, just so the teachers knew that I was, hearing them and looked at them, but that it just wasn't going to meet the needs. As you can see, a lot of them are, yellows and reds. So I did that for 6 to 8 as well. So that way they could see why they weren't chosen. So once I had all those boxes of samples in my office, I created some guidelines. So for K to 5, I created a curriculum evaluation guideline. If you could open one of those, sorry, my lovely assistant. So for each of these, I went through every single grade level and every single vendor and created a checklist. So for K to 5, I used the science of reading and created a checklist and literally went through every single material, noted if it had what we needed, noted where it was, and then the red flags are ones that didn't have what we need. So that I made sure when we were going to pilot, we had exactly what we needed. So I used the science of reading and teacher feedback and what we had in the curriculum for each one, K to 5. And then I also did it with 6 to 8 with other programs. So 6 to 8 would be the next one. That's these. If you could open one of those, Patrick, please. Yeah, either one. So these are based on the eligible content because the science of reading isn't needed in 6th or 8th grade. So I use the eligible content of the standards to make sure that each of these programs met that as well. So once I got through all the checklists and the teacher feedback, we narrowed it down to 2 specific vendors for each team of teachers. So you can get out of that. Thank you. So then it was deciding how we were going to pilot these. So we had 2 resources for K to 5 and then 2 resources for 6 to 8. So I'm going to start with K to 5 because we decided to pilot them a little bit differently. So what we did is we took 2 teams of teachers. So I just put out there for any teacher that wanted to do it. I gave them as much feedback. I gave them links to all of the things that you saw. I gave them links to the resource so that they could kind of dig into it before they decided. What we felt was best is starting at the beginning of the school year, and each teacher is going to pilot one program. So if I was piloting one, I would pilot, say, HMH, and Patrick was piloting one, he would pilot, say, Amplify, but we would be a team and meet, collaborate throughout. The reason we didn't want to switch back and forth with resources for the teacher is it was a lot of change in routine for the little kids, K to 5. It was a lot of, we were afraid there would be holes, that if we're changing programs and then changing back to the regular curriculum, like that's a lot of moving parts for those little ones, a lot of different routines. And so we didn't want to create that for them. So the teachers agreed that if they could have time to collaborate after after I did a chapter and he did a chapter, we could talk about what we liked about each one and kind of share out, that would be good for as far as feedback. So that's what we decided to do. And I sent out to sign up for K to 5. They are going to have all the resources in the summer. We're going to have all the training in the summer. So when the school starts, it's ready. They're going to pilot to Christmas break and then have time after Christmas break to give feedback and kind of decide going forward. So when I sent out, I had 43 teachers in K through 5 that signed up. This is a breakdown of those teachers. I also had SIS and interventionists that signed up, gifted teachers and learning support teachers that signed up. So everybody, we tried to get as many people that would be using it as possible to get their eyes on it. So these are the teams that I created. So the groups are, some of them are within the same school. Some of them are in separate schools. You can see grade 2 is huge because the grade 2 team at Grandview wanted to all do one, and then Bell Valley felt the same way. So they're actually working together. So Grandview will do HMH and Bell Valley will do McGraw-Hill, and then they're going to have time to meet up, which I think is great, even just for building collaboration across the board. So that's it for K-5. So 6 to 8 would be the next one. So 6 to 8, we decided to do a little bit differently. We're still doing 2 resources and we're still doing a team of teachers. But what's going to happen is if Patrick and I were a team, I would just do Amplify. Let's say he'd do HMH for the first part of the year and then we'd switch. So I do unit 1 in one resource and unit 2 in the other resource so that but they'd still work together to get feedback. Since the kids are older and looking at the resources, it matched up to our curriculum a lot better. There wouldn't be as many holes. So they're able to do both of them before Christmas break. So they'll also be done at Christmas break, but they're doing both resources. This is my team of teachers for 6 to 8. There were 11 teachers that signed up, which I think is great because it's obviously a lot smaller pool of teachers that are doing it. So I was able to get at least 2 from every grade level and all the schools are accounted for. So, and as you can see, I had learning support and gifted sign up for that as well. So they'll have input and feedback for middle school as well. So moving forward with it, I talked to all the teachers before they left. They have all their training dates in place. They know when they're going to come pick up all the resources from here. So they'll have it in their hands. I actually just met with all the vendors today and we set up all the training for the rest of the program through Christmas break. Every teacher will have at least 3 touch points that they can get on virtually and talk to the vendors, ask questions, or just gather more information throughout the process. But they also have their emails and are able to reach out at any point. And then on the 14th before school starts, so they'll have all their training in, but then on the 14th, we have a virtual session for any additional things. If they get nervous before they start school, they're ready and they can answer any questions that they have. Those are just pictures of the ones that we chose. So we chose HMH and McGraw-Hill Wonders for K-5 and HMH is called Into Literature and Amplify for 6 to 8. So at the end of all of this, when we're done with the pilot, well, throughout the piloting, I'm going to have a Google Doc for them to share questions, comments, or feedback all throughout that everybody's going to be able to see. But I will have a Google form at the end of the pilot as well for them to fill out their thoughts, how they feel about it, what their team thought. I'm hoping to get it, their collaboration to give me one, if they could pick one, what would it be? But they can give their individual as well. And then I plan on collecting all that and sharing it out with you guys. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Just a couple of comments.
Yeah.
First of all, that was a lot of work to compare all of those and not a lot of time to do it. So that's really appreciated. I like also that you are doing a different approach in elementary and middle school. It sounds like based on teacher feedback and what they thought would be best. And that's excellent because they are 2 different entities. And lost my third one.
That's okay.
Oh, when we went to all the meet and greets, that came up all the time that they wanted those materials in the summer if possible. And that's wonderful that they're going to have. So
Yeah,
great.
I
job.
heard that loud and clear too. So I made sure that that's why I was all over my vendors for before they left at the end of the school year. Cause I was like, they need to know, just give me the date. So
Great job.
yeah, thank you.
I have one comment and one question. My comment is, wow, this is an incredible data-driven effort. It's great to see. I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
see the results at the end. My question is, we use Wonders right now, K-5. Would we go to their next version? of it?
Yes, definitely. So it's an updated version. It's actually 2023. It was just updated last year. Lots of things are different. Some things are similar, which I think the teachers might like because it'll be in their comfort zone, but they changed many things. And I actually reached out to a couple districts that are using that right now this year, and I've gotten great feedback. So hopefully it's one that the teachers really like. I don't know. I feel like it could go either way, because it's the same, but not. So
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Any other questions?
Are these traditional textbooks? Are they disposables or?
Oh, that's a great question. So all of them come with a traditional book that has stories in it, but they also come with a consumable, which is wonderful, I think, because right now we're working so much on annotating and marking up the text and reading and writing. And so all of them come with consumables every year that have those stories in them and kind of guide them through what they're looking for. They can write notes on the side. So yeah, that is something we don't have now that I know teachers have wanted. So yes, it comes with that.
And that's K through 8.
That's K through 8. Yes, all of the programs provide that. Any other questions?
Hillary, that was a great presentation.
you.
Packed full with all kinds of things, and you can tell the time and effort that went into it. Thank you so much.
Thank
It
you.
looks like we are poised and ready to go for this.
I hope so. Thank you.
It's gonna be the year of ELA, or are we still in year of math? Never mind, let me not start anything. Let me.
I think it's always the year of math.
Our final information item is 4.03, the Summer Symposium promotion.
So the promotion is actually a video that we have done internally. But first off, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share it with you all. So this is an idea that came out of the expressed desire to have all of our experts in the district accessed. Those are the people who have extensive knowledge, masters, continuing education in different areas, the people we've sent to conferences to further themselves in professional development, bring that knowledge back and share it with the rest of our staff. So this will be done through Summer Symposium, which is something that our coordinator of professional development and instructional technology, Carissa, and then both of our supervisors of curriculum K through 12 have been working on. They did it last year, and it will be another wonderful year of it this year. Summer Symposium is a 3-day conference-style professional development led by our teachers for our teachers. So we had the idea, it was brought to me, those three, to do a promotional style video similar to the recruitment commercial that we did earlier in the year. But this was something that I filmed and put together with the collaboration of their ideas. So this is the finished product that we'll be sharing out through our internal communication methods.
Share ways to keep students engaged throughout the school day. Or pop into my book study, where we'll learn how to motivate students away from fake reading. Or get real with me as we explore what inclusion in a school setting really looks like. We're relying on the experts in our district to help each other grow, because what we do matters, has a real impact on our students. We're still adding sessions and new information, so make sure you keep checking the staff portal in your summer symposium for the latest information. Sessions go live July 11th. Check them out on the Summer Symposium in the staff portal. Can't wait to see you there and continue learning together.
And that is it.
Very exciting.
Great job. Very nice.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the video or regarding Summer Symposium?
I would ask how many takes that Hillary and Jen have to do, but I think they did it in one take. Good job.
Thank you, Leanna.
Thank you.
Hey, item 5.01, instruction and student services questions from the public. Do we have anyone in the public that has any questions? Anyone online?
We do have one person with their hand raised, Jan Ohms.
I'm sorry.
Jan Ohms.
Go ahead, Jan.
Jan, you'll need to unmute.
Do you have a question, Jan? Jan, do you have a question? Can you hear us?
Jan, could you unmute? I think maybe you're muted. there's anyone else.
Are there any other hands up online?
There are not.
Okay, thank you so much. Item 6.1, instruction and student services adjournment. I'd like to thank all of the people. I think almost everybody here spoke this evening in the instruction committee. Thank you so much. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our last committee meeting is finance operations, Mr. Lindner.
Thank you, President Winchell. Ms. Sitter, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Kobilka,
Here.
Mr. Lindner,
Here.
and Mr. Winchell.
Here.
Item 1.02, approval of the agenda. I'd like to bring the agenda forward as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, takes us to minutes. Approval of the minutes from the Finance and Operations Committee meeting minutes of May 8th, 2023. I'd like to bring them forward as a motion for approval.
Yeah, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We will outdo you by 3. We have fewer informational items, so we'll call this even tonight. Let's see what
Okay.
the time looks like. Mr. O'Toole, at some point I will be asking you and Mike for some support here on this one, so I'll get us moving. First item, I'll probably bring these forward as a block, but we'll just go through them first and then we'll bring forward as a block. Item 3.01 is a roofing contract with Farrell Roofing for $50,000, and this is to complete required roof work to preserve the 10-year roof warranty at Westlake Middle School. Item 3.02 is the McDowell High School and McDowell Intermediate High School furniture for 2024. Contract with PEMCO for $171,756.84. This is furniture related to the project areas that will be completed in the summer of 24. 3.03 is a contract with Ash Enterprises for $4,750. This is to complete the annual maintenance on our planetarium. 3.04 is First National Insurance Agency. This is our insurance renewal policy for 23-24. The annual premium is $314,441. This is an increase, Mr. Toole, about 9%, correct? This increase is mostly driven due to the fact that we have renovated a majority of our structures and our assessed value of our buildings has increased substantially because of that. 3.05 is our insurance management company workers' compensation insurance renewal for 23-24. The annual premium for this is $136,891. This had a insignificant change from year to year. 3.06 is the Millcreek Education Foundation's grant awards. We had grants awarded from the MEF in total of $7,350. They supported adaptive swings at Asbury, wheelchair access, accessible playground project for the Asbury Elementary, Zen 10 movement for relaxation and de-escalation, updated improvements for PE storage and equipment at Tracy, and an authors writers workshop for 8th grades. 3.07 is a donation to the PAR team from Chick-fil-A for $97.30. 3.08 is a donation to the Millcreek Township School District from Life Services Assisted Living. They donated 100 3-ring binders, which I have teased Mr. O'Toole that we will hopefully never need because we are moving away from paper and electronic, but we will use them in the short term. 3.10 is a disposal of technology assets. And do you want to talk about that? Because that's a little bit bigger of it.
Yeah, thank you. As part of our IT replacement plan, whether that's Chromebooks, laptops, printers, etc., we replace all of this equipment, part of that replacement plan. And in doing that, whether it's we try to sell it and receive money back, which we have, as you see in the financial reports, the sale of our fixed assets, we'll go find the optimal dollar value that we can receive for the assets. And if not, we take it to recycle, where they will wipe all of the machines clean for us. And we'll get a small, very small percentage on a per pound basis. But so when you're looking through this technology assets, this is what we are disposing of. You have computers, you have miscellaneous items, you have laptops, monitors, and phones.
Thank you. I'm going to circle back. I missed 3.09. Someone itches that I went out of order. This is our solicitor's fees for 23-24. This is a reappointment of Knox Law Firm with the scheduled fees as outlined. And I believe that this is an increase of about 5% over last year's fees. I'm going to skip 311 on purpose, Ms. Sitter, because that's coming to the committee of the whole, so we'll take that later. 3.12 is assessment evaluation agreement. This is with to assist the school district with assessment tax appeals. This is the same firm that we've been using for numerous years here, so we would like to continue moving forward with them. 3.13 is a memo of understanding between the Millcreek High School, McDowell High School, and Early Connections. This is in relation to our early childhood program at the high school. 3.14 is Melissa's fund distribution from the MEF. This is a donation of $500 to be used for preschool tuition assistance for students enrolled in MTSD program for 23-24. I'm gonna skip 315 here as well. 3.16 is the accounts payable, the payroll for May 19th, the auxiliary payroll for the May 22nd, and payroll for June 2nd. 3.17 is the capital projects budget. Aaron or Mike, do you want to talk about those? Because it's substantial in the plan moving forward.
Yeah, I'll take 3.17, 3.18. So 3.17 is our capital projects fund, and essentially these are more project management funds. We take the reports on a monthly basis so you can see what projects we bid, what the activity of the funds are that are flowing through, whether that's revenue and expenditures. But to be consistent, we need to create a budget. And the difficult part of a lot of that is our budgets are 7/1 to 6/30. And most of this work gets done over the summer. How much we're going to know that needs to be allocated to the month of June versus July and August is educated guess, so shall we say. So as you can see here in the supporting documentation for the capital projects, I took exactly what is open right now, and we made an estimate on what we think that we will recognize for the 22-23 school year in the month of June. And then from there, the remaining projects, we calculated out for the rest of the year. That gives us our total expenditures in the amount of $1,966,000. And then plus on the revenue side, it will be revenue of $724,000. That's made up of a $500,000 transfer from the general fund plus $224,000 of interest that we plan to earn. Again, that's a little bit of a guess too, as the Federal Reserve continues to move rates. Will they cut rates in the future? We don't know, but I used a blended rate to come up with that based on the cash value that I thought we would have throughout the course of the year. Any questions with capital projects? Hearing none, moving on to 3.18 capital reserve budget, same concept. As we're looking at all the contracts that we know what the contracts are, we've already bid them. We take those on a monthly basis. We took an estimate of what we think we would be recognizing between the months of July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. That gives us our total expenditures in the amount of $25,486,208. And then from a revenue side, we did think that we would get about 2.1, just under $2.2 million in interest, using the same model that we use with the capital projects, with the exception that we do believe we're going to have to accrue, or that we're going to issue about 35 million in January. As we had discussed prior to approving the McDowell project that was presented in November, or December, we knew that we were going to have a third debt issuance. And I accounted for that in here because from a cash flow perspective, we're going to need cash to pay the bills for the bids that we've already approved next summer. So that gives us a total revenue of $37,191,000 and $29. Any questions with the capital reserve?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for that very detailed explanation. 3.19 is write-off amounts, and this is for students who no longer are enrolled at Millcreek Township School District buildings. If you look into this, $44,000 and $44,047 are from the general funds, and 70% of this is unrealistic to be collected. And then the other 20,999 are related to the child development funds, and these are outstanding balances from 2015 to 2019. And the district is making a recommendation that we write these off as that they are unrealistic to collect, or that the collection fees would outweigh the benefit of moving forward with them.
And if I may add one other further detail to that, these are for students that are no longer in the program and or enrolled in Millcreek.
And then 3.20 are the base and COBRA rates for medical, dental, and vision for the 23-24 year. So that being said, consider if I can make this simple, I'm going to make a motion to bring forward to the board meeting at the end of the month, items 3.01 through 3.20, excluding 3.11 and 3.15. I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion on any of those items? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Our last two items, Mr. O'Toole, do you want to talk about 3.11? This item is the food service management company renewal and also budget approval. This is a little bit different than we've done previously. So if you'd like to walk the board through the why.
Yeah, I changed this up a little bit, how we did this year. So by law, we have to approve a management company for our food service fund. And we've historically used Airmark, and by law, you have to bid that every 5 years or so. This is a renewal. We're not in the bidding cycle as it relates to the food service management company. In approving this contract, it includes our total expenditures and total revenue that we expect. So as well as increasing our lunch and breakfast fees by a nickel a piece. So we tried to do all of this wrapped up in one, considering that this contract is the primary driver of that fund when it comes to expenditures. So it made sense to try to take care of all three of these all at one time. So in essence, when you're approving 3.11, we are approving the budget in the budget in the amount of $3,908,817.91 and expenses in the amount of $3,586,513.70. And then an increase of our breakfast and lunch rates of a nickel apiece. And just to add, in terms of increasing our breakfast and lunches, we are following the food service equity tool. So the state is recommending us to increase our meals based on inflationary measures and other components of our expenditures.
Can we get other things only raised by a nickel?
I took the least amount, considering we were projected to be surplus at the end of the year. I did the least amount that
And just so
we
that
were requested to do.
we do have a surplus in this budget, but this also goes to deferred maintenance and equipment repairs to keep our cafeterias and kitchen equipment current and functioning, and any unexpected expenses that may occur since this is a standalone budget.
That is correct. And that's a great point as well. So as we've used over the last 2 years, rather than using bond money to purchase the food service equipment as we're renovating our buildings, we've been using this fund for the cash outlay and recognizing that depreciation over time.
And were all of our students eligible for free breakfast this past year?
I think that started in October-ish, but yes.
Do we expect that to continue, or do we expect that to?
It's part of the bigger budget conversation at the state level. I know there's some proposed legislation that make breakfast and lunch free. So I don't know what the outcome will be, given the fact that it was quite the ask and what the budget was. I know from the House side, they actually approved a budget last week, I believe, and I think it was roughly about $2 million more than what our governor had proposed, so I'm not sure where that will land.
And item 3.15 is the bond money change orders to be brought forward to the committee of the whole meeting this evening. Mike, if you want to just walk us through some of that? I know it's a minor one this time as opposed to some of the ones we've seen recently.
Yeah, so real quick, I'll go through these. First one here, page 1, just have some additional concrete in the large group instruction rooms. A couple other miscellaneous culinary arts casework, that was a credit back. We were working through that submittal. We were able to get a credit. Blackhawk Nav, we had a little bit of change with some discrepancies on the drawings related to electrical. Pittsburgh stage, we added the replacement of another stage curtain that we found was damaged. Missed 2 alarm strobes at the high school. Replaced the diamond plate flooring in the walk-in cooler and freezer at Tracy. That was rusting out. The big one here that I will bring up is Walnut Creek. That is amount of $34,390. So when they went into the sanitary lines in the kitchen, they realized that that line has never drained properly. They must have driven over it when they built the school, and the lane, it actually didn't slope correctly. So in the end, the top part of the pipe was completely corroded away. So this 34,000 digs all of that up, gets all of that underground fixed before we put the new kitchen equipment on top of it. A few other small ones in here. Dow Intermediate. This discrepancy on the drawing with insulation on ductwork. And then the last one here is for a glycol feed system. Should have been glycol instead of water. Any specific questions on any of those? I don't want to go through too much, but
Most of them are relatively minor things, or omissions, things that are found during the process of construction of older buildings.
yeah, I'm hoping we've got through the larger ones, at least for this summer. I know a couple other things came up today. Construction started this morning well, actually it started Saturday morning. So I will continue to bring these forward and I'll note any of the larger ones.
Being said, I would like to make a motion to bring item 3.11, food service management company renewal, and 3.15, bond money change orders to the committee of the whole meeting this evening. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on any of those items?
Just one, Aaron and Mike, baseball gambling complex. Have they started over there yet, or this week, or?
So I finally saw 2 pieces of equipment getting dropped off today. So I'm encouraging them to get started as quickly as possible, knowing that we've got fall sports coming and we'd like to use pieces of the property. So hopefully we'll get them out there sooner than later.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Those are all of our action items for this evening. 4.01, we do not have any formal informational items, but I know President Winchell, you had a comment that you wanted to make?
Yeah, I've got one item, and actually it's kind of started yesterday. At Bell Valley, we have Bell Valley Park where we got softball and where the pool is, but also behind the school is a baseball field. And a lot of, social media yesterday about that baseball field, a little bit disarray. I know Ms. Nushin and I were contacted because we are on the Park and Rec Committee for Millcreek. And there's some controversy, is it Millcreek Township? Is it the school district? So Ms. Newsham reached out to Supervisor Claire and Ashley. And then I had reached out to Mike and Aaron today. So there's a little confusion on that, but they are investigating it. I will say, though, that there was a lot of vandalism up there. There's some comments about drug paraphernalia up there in the back of the school. So I did talk to Supervisor Clear today, and she immediately sent an email to the captain of the patrol division that they'll be increasing the patrols in that area starting today. So I know a lot of people were talking, so hopefully if they watch this or listen to this, that we're proactive on it, and the police surveillance has increased effective today on that. So more details to come.
Thank you, President Winchell. And the only other thing, I know we spoke at the board meeting last month about policies coming tonight, specifically related to the Finance and Operations Committee, related to the budget. Those items, along with other policy rewrites, will be coming to us in August. Mr. Toole has, I think he said maybe half a dozen or 8 that he will be presenting, the budget being one of those to be brought forth in August. They just need a little more time to get them together.
Maybe we'll have a state budget by then.
Yeah, always possible.
Maybe. Okay,
So,
thanks.
That it ends our informational items. Section 5, questions from the public. Is there anyone in the room who would like to ask about anything we discussed this evening? Ms. Sitter, do we have any hands raised online?
We have no hands raised online.
Will take us to item 6, adjournment. Like to make motion to adjourn. Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. That ends the Finance and Operations Committee meeting, Mr. President Winchell.
Thank you. Shorter, I think. Okay, moving on to Committee of the Whole meeting this evening. We'll start with opening items. Roll call, Mrs. Sitter.
Mr. Dean,
Here.
Ms. Philbeck. Here. Mr. Kobilka,
Here.
Mr. Lindner,
Here.
Ms. Lupacek,
Here.
Ms. McClintock. Here. Ms. Newsom,
Here.
Mr. Winchell.
Here.
Mrs. Winchell,
Here.
Dr. Roberts.
Here.
And Attorney Senate.
Here. 1.02 executive session announcement. An executive session was held June the 12th, 2023 for the purpose of personnel. Item 1.03 approval of the agenda. I'd like to ask for a motion to emergency amend this cow agenda. Item 1 at J.S. Wilson to accept the resignation of the assistant principal. And also on MIHS, item 1, change of status to remove the environmental science position there. So I'd ask for a motion and a second to amend this agenda.
Motion.
Any discussion? Yeah, okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Okay, now I'm asking for the approval of the amended agenda. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. That motion passes. And 1.04, Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. Item 2.01, visitors. To all visitors who'd like to speak, anyone that has pre-registered before 3 p.m., 5 days before any scheduled board meeting, will be afforded 5 minutes to address the board. After 3 p.m., the speakers will have 3 minutes to address the board. These notices appear on the MTSD website with each meeting announcement. For all others that wish to speak, this time I'd ask all that you please complete a speaking request form in the back of the room if you're located in the meeting room this evening, including your name and address, and please bring those forward to the board secretary. All others online that would like to speak, please raise your hand at this time so we can see that you would like to address the board. Upon reaching the podium, if you're here in person or being called upon online, please state your name and your topic before starting your remarks. Please limit your remarks to 5 or 3 minutes allotted. If you do not need the entire 5 or 3 minutes, please conclude your remarks early so other speakers who do not pre-register will have a chance to address the administration and board as well. There was one 5-minute speaker pre-registered. He's online. It's Mr. Aliota. Mr. Aliota, you have 5 minutes.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
5 minutes,
thank you.
Mr. Elliott.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, board administration. I attended several celebrations of graduation of Millcreek School District in the past 10 days. And I was asked by several students around 15, 16, maybe 17 years of age. They asked me certain questions. How can students believe or trust district public officials when they violate the US and the Pennsylvania constitutional laws? Well, I had a conversation with them. Let me refer to the policy 220 of the board approved policy. It's the right of public school students to freedom of speech is guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth. The board respects the right of students to express themselves in word or symbol and to disseminate non-school materials to others as part of that expression. The board also recognizes that the exercise of that right is not unlimited and must be balanced with the district's responsibility to maintain a safe and orderly school environment and to protect the rights of all members of the school community. My answer to the students was, apparently I was not considered part of the community or a school board director at that time. And I refer you to 22 PA Code 12.9. Apparently it took me approximately 5 years to prove my innocence rather than what the US and Pennsylvania Constitution states. We are innocent until proven guilty. Is there corruption in our government? You bet there is. And it's obvious, of course, in these political times of what is going on in Washington, Harrisburg, and even locally. Is there, so what is the status of the reimbursement to the taxpayers of Millcreek in the illegal use of public money by the board directors with the concurrence of 2 superintendents, the solicitor, without any public announcement of the legal foundation of using public money for the past 5 years? How can an attorney or even a public official who was elected or appointed use attorney-client privilege when the attorneys are prosecuting illegal actions in the school district or by the school district? Some people will never like me because my spirit irritates their demons. You have been, or you have to be, a lion and a fox. The fox is smart enough to recognize the traps, and the lion is strong enough to scare away the wolves. That's a quote from Carlo Gambino, also known as Gramps, because I come from Brooklyn, New York. How many public officials violate the public trust? You could answer that question, both board members and the public. Do you have the courage to be free? I want to thank you for the opportunity to exercise my freedom of speech at this public meeting. Have a good day. Good night.
Thank you. Anyone else in the boardroom like to speak? Shaking no. Anyone else online that would like to speak?
No other hands are raised.
Last call. Anyone else would like to speak? Oh, Jan Ohms has raised her hand. Okay, Jan, you have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You have 3 minutes, Jan.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to say, if it's so obvious that no one wanted Mr. Aliotta on the school board, I appreciate all of his research, and I would like to say I'm highly disappointed in the whole school district for not doing research, such as when I requested any and all of you to please look at the NIH publication regarding ivermectin. And a few months later, it was acknowledged in a meeting that none of you had looked at that. I'm highly disappointed because I would think of all people, educators, do research. I took some teaching courses in my nursing for extra credits. And I know a good teacher does research and knows what they're talking about before they present. So that's all I'd like to say to you. I'm very disappointed. Otherwise, I liked all of the teachers that I was personally involved with. The other thing I would like to say, I just do not understand why a student who is suffering with grades, and I asked for some extra help, was made to watch CNN at the end of most of the days. I can't fathom how CNN News, which notably has been fake and false, how can that help a student? Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Any other speakers that like to speak this evening? Last call, any other speakers? Hearing none, we will move on. Superintendent's report, Dr. Roberts.
Thank you, President Winchell. Good evening. There are 5 items under the superintendent's report this evening. The first item, item number 3.01, you've heard the JS Wilson School Improvement Plan. You've heard a very detailed and impressive discussion and presentation. This comes to the board for your approval.
3.01 JS Wilson School Improvement Plan. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion passes.
Item number 3.02, thank you, Mr. O'Toole, for providing some additional context about this food service management company renewal. This comes to the board for your approval.
3.02 Food Service Management Company Renewal. Have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion passes.
Item number 3.03, our bond money change orders. We heard earlier from Mr. Gallagher, who provided us with some additional context with regards to the change orders that are on the agenda. This comes to the board for approval.
Yes, 3.03 bond money change orders. Have a motion for approval.
Motion.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion passes.
Item number 3.04 is our personal board report, which was shared earlier with lots of details from board member Mr. Dean, certainly brought to you tonight for approval. Some really critical personal decisions and hiring for us. So we're looking forward to the board's approval.
3.04, the June 12th, 2023 Personnel Board Reports, but asked that one item be removed from the balance of the personnel report. That breakout would be the HR coordinator position, MEC change of status number 3. So it'd be everything else on the personnel report for approval, except for the HR coordinator position at number 3, MEC change of status. Can I have a motion for that?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
That also includes your changes at the beginning of the amendments.
Yes, it also includes the changes that on the agenda that would correct, remove, well, the one to approve though originally would improve the emergency amended agenda item when the accepted resignation of the assistant principal of J.S. Wilson and removal of the environmental science teacher at MIHS.
Thank you.
That's in this block.
Just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. That motion passes. Oh, okay, we have motion. Plenty. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Yeah, motion passes. Now, this is for the sole item. It'd be for the approval of the HR coordinator position, change of status number 3, for the approval of this. We have a roll call vote, please.
Yes. Mrs. Winchell,
Yes.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Ms. Philbeck. Yes. Mr. Kobilka,
Yes.
Mr. Lindner,
Yes.
Ms. Lupacek,
Yes.
Ms. McClintock. Yes. Ms. Nugent,
No.
Mr. Winchell,
Yes. Passes 8-1. Okay,
Item number 3.05, administrative procedure for retiring jerseys. Certainly the board may recall, and the community as well, that in January, we brought forth a conversation as we were considering the retirement of a jersey for one of our outstanding student athletes. We've spent an inordinate amount of time, a number of months, if you may, having some really healthy and fruitful discussions with representatives of one of our former student athletes. And those discussions really has led us to this place where we ought to start to think about whether or not we need to have some process or procedure in place for the retirement of jerseys. In collaboration with members of the superintendent's team and our athletic department, instead of bringing forth a board policy, we've certainly sought legal guidance as well. And we believe that it is prudent for us to instead have an administrative procedure when it comes to retiring jerseys. And the retirement of jerseys document or admin procedures brought to you right now for your review and approval. It's important for me to note that there is one exception in that in January of this year, after certainly much consideration, we have decided to retire a jersey of one or the same student athlete that I'm referencing. But there are some really critical guidance points provided within this document. And one of them, I should say, let me just highlight, if I may, two quick and two very, very important aspects of this. One, the athletic director will certainly have the authority to bring forth a recommendation based on a number of key data points when it comes to retiring a jersey. One, the candidate whose jersey is being brought forth for retirement should have played or graduated from McDowell High School in a varsity sport. Two, the candidate should be at least been removed from school for a minimum of 5 years. Exceptions may apply based on the athletic director's recommendation. This is a national trend in terms of sort of either retirement of jerseys or Hall of Fame nominations. Additionally, while the athletic director may bring forth a recommendation, the final decision certainly rests with the superintendent for the retirement of any jerseys. Here are some areas that the superintendent, in collaboration with the athletic director, should consider. The candidate whose jersey is being asked to retire should be an all-time leading scorer for a particular sport. Candidate must be selected to the Hall of Fame for their sport. And this can be either here at the high school level or in collegiate athletics. They should have played at the highest level, NBA, Major League Baseball, WNBA, etc. We need to also include Olympics for track and field athletes there. And additionally, the candidate should have brought significant recognition to the Millcreek Township School District. The jersey of former or current student athletes may be retired on an honorary basis, even in the death or other significant event. However, it is important to note that the approval of this event, while directed and approved by the athletic director and superintendent, it doesn't mean that when we retire a jersey that we are going to retire the number as well. Many of our coaches, particularly in the area of football, have some struggles in terms of finding enough jerseys and equipment for student athletes. And so we want to make sure that we still maintain the ability or opportunity to retire a jersey, but be able to reuse the number as necessary. 3.05 brought to the board for your approval of this administrative procedure.
can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Have a second discussion. I guess I have one question. Is James Conner jersey retired? Because he fits all these criteria. He's in the NFL. He's been out for 5 years. His jersey.
Certainly is eligible. I believe that there are two things to consider, right? One, someone making a request from the James Conner or any other former student athletes from their camp to request a retirement, or two, there should be internal discussions between the athletic director and superintendent's office about whether or not someone is eligible. And in this case, yes, he certainly is eligible to have a retired jersey.
I would think, yeah.
I was under the impression that his jersey was hanging in a display case somewhere.
It's in the gym.
It is.
So is that retired? That it's hanging in the? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Should go, so we maintain that active list. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion passes.
That concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you. Solicitor's report, Attorney Senate.
Section 4.01 is the sale agreement for Lakewood Park. The Millcreek Township School District is entering into an agreement for the sale of real estate with Millcreek Township for Lakewood Park, which is found on West 10th Street between Chelsea and Oakland Avenue. It is the former location of the Lakewood School, which was demolished many years ago and has been used as a public park operated by the township. However, the school district owns the property, and at this point, it doesn't make sense for the school district to own the property. The township, as the keeper of the parks in the township, should be the entity that owns and operates the park. So as a result, this agreement has been entered into. There are certain contingencies that must be met in order for this transaction to proceed forward. The first one is the typical title examination. There's no defect within the title. The second is a due diligence examination of the property itself by the township. You're granting them an opportunity until November 30th, 2023 to look at the property, test the property if they choose to test the property, but they must restore the property to its prior condition to determine whether there's any environmental concern. The other condition is the condition on financing. They're seeking a grant in order to pay the purchase price. And that grant would be from the Department of Community and Economic Development. And so if they get the grant, they'll be able to proceed forward. If they don't get the grant, then they can't proceed forward. The purchase price is $340,000. That's based on two appraisals, an appraisal acquired by the township and an appraisal acquired by the school district. And they must close by December 30th at the end of the year. So that's the agreement in a nutshell. Seeking approval.
You have a motion for approval of the sale of the Lakewood property.
Motion.
Have a second? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion passes.
Second item is a typical resolution asking for authorization for Mr. Winchell to sign the proof of death claimant statement with the insurance company in regard to Mrs. Mosley.
Have approval to accept.
Motion.
Have a-
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Against, nay. Motion passes.
Nothing further tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Senate. Item 5, old business, any old business? Item 6, new business, any new business? Item 7, remarks, Northwest Tri-County Intermediate Unit. The attachment was on the agenda. A couple items just to some legislation, just for everyone's information. The Senate, Senate Bill 114, an act establishing secondary education fire training pilot program and fire training fund. Senate Bill 232, an act providing for health services in schools related to Lyme disease treatment and prevention. Senate Bill 647, act creating economic education and personal financial literacy programs and providing the regulation of on-campus credit card marketing. House Bill 148, an act providing for eating disorder awareness and education. House Bill 141, an act establishing Grow Your Own Educators grant program and Grow Your Own Educator career pathways, and imposing those duties upon the Department of Education. And similar House Bill 688, an act establishing PA teacher pipeline scholarship program, imposing those on the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency. And referring to what Dr. Kavanaugh said earlier, bill sponsor on the financial literacy course to graduation requirements. Currently, there's 21 states require this to take the financial literacy course, which would be implemented in 26, 27. As a side note, state rankings from Wallet Hub, Pennsylvania has a 21st overall most financially literate state, but 27th in terms of financial education and knowledge. And then new science standards for teaching in Pennsylvania will be implemented in the next few years. More hands-on approach, 25, 26 school year, be fully implemented. My report from the IU5. Next is the Erie County Technical School, Mr. Lindner.
Just a couple of things to report. The renovation schedule is moved into the summer phase. They should get a significant portion of the building done this summer. There will still be work to be done in the fall. I also want to take this time, Mr. Tarasovich is retiring at the end of June. I had the privilege to work with him for the last year and a half here as my appointment, and it's been a privilege. He has dedicated many years as the principal of that structure and stepped into the director's role. And without him, I can say that this renovation project would not have been as successful as it has been so far. So true loss of a great leader there. I wish him the best in retirement.
And he did stick around a year later than he wanted to.
He did give us an extra year.
He
He's supposed
did.
to retire last year,
Very
but he
good.
didn't want to go out on the project in the middle.
Oh, good for him. Good for us. Okay, 7.03, school board remarks. Any school board remarks?
I'd like to take a minute to update the public regarding the search for a new superintendent. We have a search committee, which is a subset of the board. It includes Gary Winchell, Mike Lindner, and myself. The search committee has no power to do anything. We're just there to do the grunt work. And all of the decisions will be made by the entire board related to the search. So we started out, the board voted on May 22nd to enter into an agreement with the IU5 to conduct the search for our next superintendent. The cost of the contract will not exceed $7,000 and we'll pay that at the conclusion of the search. The posting for that job went up May 24th and will conclude on June 16th, which is this coming Friday. So candidates have until the end of Friday to apply. At this point, we have 7 qualified candidates. So on June 27th, we'll have our first round interviews. And those will be conducted. The questions and scoring rubrics are provided by the IU5. And the candidates will be questioned by Brad Whitman and Sally Dank from the IU5. All of the board members are invited to be present in the interviews and participate in the evaluation process. So those evaluations will then be used to see who progresses to the second round interviews, which hopefully will be the final round. You know, it's hard to talk about exactly how it will play out. When we get to the finalists, the MTSD website will be updated and will include a picture and some biographical information that is submitted by the 3 finalists. We're aiming for 3 finalists, but sometimes the ratings mean that we're going to end up with 2 or we're going to end up with 4. We're just going to proceed and do what makes the most sense. On July 10th, an informal meet and greet will be held with the finalist candidates and any MTSD staff members that would like to attend. And following the meet and greet would be the final interviews of the candidates. And again, all board members are invited to be present and participate in the question and the evaluation process. The IU team then will help to build consensus among the board members to identify the successful candidate to proceed. From there, then will be an announcement, a press release, an update on the MTSD website to follow. So the goal is to have someone in place by August 1st. So as a reminder to board members, I'd like to say that June 27th and July 10th are important dates to add to your personal calendars for those interviews. And we will continue to update the public and the board as things progress.
Okay, and I know that talking with Executive Director Brad Whitman and Sally Danke, typically they see, you know, a big surge of applications in the last week. Especially they had thought that because of graduations last week and school is ending, they expect a lot of application to be flown in this week. So, and we'll keep the public posted through the meetings and perhaps our website as well. Any other school board remarks? Dr. Roberts.
Thank you, President Mitchell. Certainly just express tremendous gratitude to all of our teachers, leaders, and staff for an outstanding 22-23 school year. Certainly we saw the year culminate with our commencement ceremonies last week for McDowell High School. And then today with remarkable presentations that were informative and educative from some of our leaders. So thank you. Thank you all for a great year. Have an enjoyable summer.
Before we move to adjournment, the next school board meeting will be held June the 26th, 2023 at 7 PM. Adjournment, as a reminder, there'll be an executive session immediately following this board meeting for personnel. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Can I have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Against nay. Motion passes. You're adjourned.